Monday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens are on the road in Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. My best bets are on the way in the first game of the Monday Night doubleheader. As always, my name's Austin from Call on Our Shop. Before we dive into anything for this game, we always got to dive into how we did the previous day, betting some NFL. And Sunday wasn't the greatest day for us. It was a 4-6 day. I'm not going to go through every single bet. We got a little unlucky with the David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs parlay. We missed by 1 yard there. But on the other side, Aiden O'Connell pass attempts under, had no business hitting, but he got injured in the first quarter. So we'll take it. Both of the half unit plays lost. So 4-6, technically really a 4-5 if we're talking, about 1 unit plays, but you get what I mean. Not our greatest week, up 10 units on the season. Let's bounce back on these Monday night games. As always, I'm going to do a separate video for each of them. So there is a separate video for the other one, Chargers, Cardinals. I encourage you to tap into that. It should be posted within 15 minutes of this video going live. So by the time you're watching this, it's probably already live. I encourage you to go tap into that, see my favorite picks over there. And without further ado, there's actually a free square on Underdog Fantasy, and that involves that second game, Kyler Murray for 1 yard. I'll be using that free square in that video, so definitely check out how I'm using it there. I'll have an Underdog entry at the end of this video as well. Again, sign up using code COS. You'll get that free square, and you'll get a match on your first deposit, 50% up to $1,000. It's free money. Don't leave it on the table. Check out Underdog Fantasy. The links are down below. But you guys came for some picks. We're going to dive into this first one, and it is going to be a guy by the name of Chris Godwin. And I'm actually doing a 2-leg SGP here. Chris Godwin, 50 receiving yards, and K-Dot 25 receiving yards, minus 121 on FanDuel. Now, if you aren't able to take with this, same game parlay, or maybe it's too juiced on your book, I like both these two guys as receivers in this game. I like K-Dot a lot. I looked at his receptions line. I like Chris Godwin as well. I don't love Mike Evans, if I'm being honest, and I'll talk about why a little bit later, but I like both these two guys' matchups, and I'll talk about why I like both their individual lines, but Godwin's at 73.5, tad high for me. And then K-Dot is honestly probably the one I would pivot to. He's closer in the high 30s, 37, 38.5. Now, let's actually start with Otten, who I like to obviously get 25 yards and also get his receptions. Otten's last 4 games, he's had 47, 52, 44, and then only 15 yards. Last week, not the best game for him. The Ravens have struggled against tight ends. 3rd most receptions and 2nd most receiving yards allowed to the position. We've been seeing tight ends absolutely torch them. And I think Otten could be another one that torches them. He's not a guy that's really going too far down the field, but he's going to get those short passes, and I think he'll just be sitting in zone coverage, finding his spots, and Baker Mayfield's going to be hitting him because it's just the spot where I think the Bucs are going to have to throw the football. And we've seen Otten, I think he gets his job done. Godwin, I think he does his job as well. 50 receiving yards in all 6 games this year. He has 60+ in 5 of 6 and 80+ in 3 of 6 games. So he's been really good. The Ravens, 4th most yards allowed to wide receivers. We know they've been allowing a ton of passing yards because, they stop the run better than basically any other team in the NFL. They're really good at stopping that run and forcing you to pass. But when teams pass, they're giving up a lot of yards because their secondary hasn't been that great this season. I think if there's going to be any way their secondary tries to game plan for the Bucs, it's to try to slow down Mike Evans. And how do you slow him down? Well, you probably throw a safety over the top against him, and you just allow the underneath stuff. They'll get to the red zone. That underneath stuff isn't going to be there, and that's when you're going to hope to limit them to some field goals and stuff like that. I don't love Mike Evans here. He's also entering this game banged up. I like Godwin. I like K-Dot. I like each of them for 50 and 25 for Otten. I think this is a good spot for both these two fellows, so take that for 1 unit, minus 121 on FanDuel. It's my first play in this game for 1 unit. My second play in this one is just going to be a half unit play. I considered making this a full unit play, and I'll talk about why I didn't. It is Lamar Jackson over 282.5 passing plus rushing yards, which is about minus 110 on Bet365. I'd personally play it to about 289.5. I'm only sticking a half unit play, although I do have confidence here. I just don't love forcing a ton of units into specific games. All it takes is a return touchdown or a defensive touchdown or just something to go wonky, and you're screwed for out of multiple units. Instead, I like having a max of 1.5 really units on a single game. Maybe if you want to count the ladder at risk for a unit, the ladder will probably be a combination of these 2 games. But I like this one for a half unit play. You can take it for 1 unit, but not my most confident player prop of the year, but I think he gets the job done. So far this season, Lamar, if you looked at his numbers, he's over in 4 of 6 games. I'm not going to read off every single one, but he is over in the last 2 with over 350 passing and rushing yards combined. If you don't have the ability to take passing plus rushing, I don't have a great, I don't love his passing yards. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is a guy you want to involve rushing with because, he has the ability to go out there and run for 100+ yards, and this could be one of those matchups. The Buccaneers, though, have really struggled against quarterbacks. They're allowing the 4th most passing yards per game. The last 5 QBs passing plus rushing yards you look at these numbers, a lot of these guys are lighting them up. You talk about Jared Goff, he had like 5 rushing yards, so a lot passing. Bo Nix had a pretty good game, but they didn't really have to pass a lot in the second half. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles really struggle against the Bucs. They've done it all year. Kirk Cousins had 500 yards passing, and then Spencer Rattler last week, 270 pass plus rushing yards. If you saw Spencer Rattler on Thursday Night Football, you'd be like, how the heck did he get 270 yards? Yeah, that goes to show you how bad the Buccaneers defense has been. They have not been a good elite unit, and they're going to blitz a lot. And if you blitz a lot, well, you're going to get in trouble if you don't get home. And Lamar Jackson is a hard guy to get down on the ground, and I think he could be taken off. I also like the Buccaneers to be able to slow down the run a little bit. This season, the Buccaneers have allowed the 9th fewest rushing yards to running backs. So I don't necessarily know if it's the biggest game for Derrick Henry. I still think he gets his yards and his touches, but I think you'll see Lamar Jackson maybe instead of handing it off to Derrick Henry, he'll keep a couple more than normal and take him up the sideline, where I just don't think the Bucs have the ability to stop that. They have Vita Vea right in the middle if he's active, but outside of that, I mean, they're a little bit the Buccaneers defense, let's be honest, not been great. They're also going to be down one of their cornerbacks, Jamel Dean, so we could see them throw it a little bit more. So I like Lamar Jackson. I like his rushing yards. I'm sure it'll be involved in the ladder challenge, but I like the pass plus rushing as well. I think he absolutely clears this line, only for half unit, but 282.5 pass plus rush. Count me in. Now, finally, I need to talk who I think wins and covers in this game. I don't actually have a great lean in terms of who wins this game, but I really like the under at 49.5. I think there's plenty of yards to go around, but I think both these two defenses are really good at stopping guys in the red zone, and I think that's where it comes down to when you're talking about a total at 50 and, at 50 points, basically. You need to get touchdowns. If you don't get touchdowns, you're not clearing that total. I think it's a game where we see a lot of longer drives. We see these teams be able to move the football, but when it comes down to that red zone, you're kicking field goals. Now, Logan did like the Ravens minus 3.5. I don't know if I love that. The Bucs have been a pretty good home team, so maybe I lean the Ravens to win. I don't know if they'll cover the 4 points that you need, but I do like the under a lot at 49.5. And then finally, we wrap up with an Underdog fantasy entry. Here's the 4 legs I got on the screen. Godwin at 60 yards. You can lower him on Underdog. You can lower guys down. That's what I did with Derrick Henry. I like Kate Otten first half line, and then Lamar Jackson's passing plus rushing yards in there as well. You put $20 on that, you win about 100. Godwin and Derrick Henry's the regular line, like I said, are about 10 to 15 yards higher than that. I think they can come through for those higher lines, but obviously if you have a book that allows you, or an app like Underdog Fantasy, which allows you to take a regular line, drop it 10, 10, 15, 20 yards, I'm going to take a chance on it as long as it's not, absolutely destroying the multiplier that we're trying to get on these plays. And that didn't really destroy that one. So I just threw $20 on it. I like that K. Dot in first half line. I really think he's going to be heavily targeted here. They like to run some screens for him. So don't be surprised if you see Kate Otten with randomly like 6 receptions for 55 yards. So you're like, what the heck? I think he could have a pretty good game. And I think Godwin over that middle in that slot, I think it's a great spot. The Buccaneers are still down some wide receivers in this game. So Chris Godwin should be active. He should be ready to go and absolutely full go. I think Mike Evans will be a full go as well. But be careful with Mike Evans. I think they could try to game plan him out of this game. Obviously, he could still go off. It's Mike Evans. But I'm probably going to be a little bit hesitant on his props. I mean, his line's 50 and Godwin's at 73.5. I don't know the last time I saw those two guys differ by that much. So my favorite plays in this game, a 1-unit play on Godwin 50 and 25 yards, SGP. Second play is just a half unit on Lamar Jackson passing plus rushing yards. I looked at trying to take like a 200 pass yards and 40 rush yards like parlay, but I'm not going to get too cute there. I'll just do a half unit play. I also think sneakily Lamar Jackson could get into the end zone. I just wish it was better than like plus 130, so that's why I didn't take it. But I think Lamar could keep one inside and be like, Vita Vea's there. I'm going to keep this one, and Lamar could run it in. Has 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. Tonight, I think he gets his 3rd. But that's my favorite plays of the day, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. A reminder, if you want to check out the Chargers and Cardinals video, you certainly can. Also, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, we cashed our anytime touchdown parlay at plus 982. So hopefully you guys tailed that. I'll talk about that again in the Chargers Cardinals video right here, because I'm about to go record that one right now. Again, tap in